Last time you were in art, you drew some purple lines or brown lines to divide your paper into sections, and then you filled each of those sections with a different pattern, and you traced those patterns with Sharpies. Today we're going to cut these sections apart and glue them onto our background paper in order to create our pattern blanket. So you're going to get a pair of scissors from the cup at your table, and you are going to cut along that purple or brown line. Don't cut any of the black lines on your paper because then you're going to lose part of your blanket. Just cut on the purple lines or the brown lines, depending on what color you chose to use. When you're cutting, it is important to turn your paper. So don't twist your arm up like a pretzel trying to cut a certain way. Keep your scissor hand comfortable and turn that paper so that it is easier to cut. Another trick that I want to show you is cut with this inside part of your scissors. If you start cutting out here, it gets wobbly and it's hard to control. So try and cut with the inside part of the scissors. I told you last week that you could leave the top part of your paper blank if you had kind of a jaggedy edge. So since my edge was a little bit crazy, I left that blank, and I'm just going to throw this piece into the trash can at my table. And then I would keep cutting out my sections on that purple line. Or you might have used a brown marker, so you might have a different color to cut on. As you cut out a section, go ahead and set it off to the side and save it so it stays safe. Once you're done cutting out all of your sections, you will be ready to glue them down. Once you have all of your sections cut apart, you're going to get a glue bottle from your table so that you can glue those pieces down. It is up to you what order you want to glue them in. I'm going to start with this one at the top. When I am putting glue on the back of my piece, I am going to use dot, dot, not a lot. Go ahead and say that with me. Dot, dot, not a lot. If I use too much glue, a big puddle of glue, it is gonna spill out onto my yellow paper. Now, even though I'm doing dot, dot, not a lot, I wanna have more than just 2 dots on my paper, right? That wouldn't be enough glue to hold it down. So I can do dot, dot, not a lot, but I can make sure that I get dots all over my paper. As long as they're small dots, I can do several of them. And that is going to help my paper to stay glued down. I'm going to very carefully pick my paper up, and then I'm going to glue it down onto the background paper. We are creating pattern blankets, so I want you to leave a little bit of extra space at the top and a little bit of extra space at the bottom. And in a minute, I'm going to show you what special thing we're going to do with that extra space. After you have glued down all of your sections onto your background paper, if you have enough extra time, you can add something special to make your pattern blanket look even more like a blanket. Go ahead and grab a pair of scissors from your cup, and you're going to cut fringe all along the bottom of your blanket. And the way you do that is you cut a little rectangle all the way across your paper. It doesn't have to be at exactly the same height, but you don't want to cut a really long one and then a really short one. So you want to kind of keep that fringe about the same height in. You would keep cutting these little thin rectangles until you got all the way to the edge of your paper, and then you would turn your paper around and do the same thing on this side. Cut a fringe all along the top of your pattern blanket as well. If you don't have enough time to cut the fringe, that's okay. You don't need to worry about it. It's just an extra special thing that you can add on if you have enough time in class today. Once you're done cutting the fringe on your blanket, let your teacher know and they will let you know what the next step is in art today.